Hey Paul, how you doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
Doing great.
Good.
So, tell me about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a communications student at BYU currently. I'll be graduating this coming summer. I'm specifically emphasizing in journalism. So my interest in that originally came from a love for sports. So I knew that I probably wasn't going to make it to the NBA with my current height and athleticism. So I thought the way to get there was through journalism. And I decided that sports is my hobby and I necessarily don't want to make that my career. So MBA is the direction that I'm going now. Um, I currently work at BYU on campus with the University Communications Office. So we run BYU's website and I write articles for the website about some of the research that our professors are doing to promote how awesome our school is, pretty much. So that includes meeting with professors on a daily basis and talking about their research, whether it's computer science, chemistry, human resources, all different fields. Then I write articles, as I said, about that research. I'm going to start a new role here in the next little bit with Pluralsight. It's a local tech company in Utah, and they do computer software trainings and videos and stuff. So I'm going to be working with their external communications team, and I'm excited to get rolling with that here in the next coming weeks. So that's a little bit about me and where I'm at. So
Great. And what are some of your strengths and weaknesses? Name at least like two each.
okay, I'll start with the weaknesses. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I would say when you ask about weaknesses, the first thing that comes to mind is I tend to procrastinate a little bit sometimes. I think every student probably when they're in college has noticed that if something's not due till Saturday night at midnight, you don't start it till Saturday evening at the earliest. So that's something throughout school that I've noticed that I need to work on. And one way that I've been working on that is I've created lists of prioritizing the most important things. So for example, on a Sunday night, I'll look and see, okay, these are the things that I've got going on this week, whether it's school or work or family obligations. And this is what's most important, what I need to get done first. Whether it's something that's not due till Saturday or doesn't need to be done till later, I still try to do the most important things first. And I think that's important because it really helps me prioritize my schedule and get the most important things done first. So procrastination, that's the first one I would say, but hopefully it's something that I'm working on trying to improve at. The other thing that I would say is I sometimes have a difficulty working well with others, working as a team. I sometimes like to just put my head down and just get to work and do it all myself and not really have to rely on others or maybe that type of thing. And I've definitely recognized that that's not the best way to do things. There's way more can be done in teams and together. And so I've tried working on that by thinking about the unique strengths of the people that I work with and how I can incorporate that into my work. So for example, with my current role at University Communications at BYU, I recognize that one of my coworkers is really good at writing, for example. And so I'll rely on her as I do some of my writing to help edit some of the things that I do or whatever that might be. So she's a grammar expert, so I'll rely on her for that. And so I know that working with others is important and something that I need to improve at, and so that's something that I'm working on as well. So procrastination and working with others are the two weaknesses that I'd say. As for the strengths, first thing that comes to my mind is just interpersonal skills, communication skills. I really love meeting new people, getting to know new people. With my current job, as I mentioned, I meet with professors every day, and that's probably my favorite thing about the role. I also worked as an intern at KSL. It's a local news company in Utah, and I wrote articles for their sports page, and that introduced me to coaches and players from college, high school, professional teams all throughout Utah. And I just absolutely love meeting new people and talking to them and interviewing them and asking them what went well in this game or what do you think you can improve on for the next game, that type of thing. So I really love meeting new people and getting to know their stories and learning from them. So interpersonal skills, communication skills is one. And then the second thing I'd say is I believe I'm a really good innovator. So at my current job, sometimes I found it hard for professors to track down sometimes. A lot of times they maybe aren't very good at responding to email or can't be found in their offices or it's just hard to find them. So I've found unique ways of maybe tracking down research papers that they're writing, whether that's contacting research assistants that are working with them, or using Google Scholar, an online resource, to find recently published papers. When I first got the job, there was really only one way I was trying to do it, and that was email the professor and ask him what's going on with your research. And I found that 2 to 3 weeks later, they haven't emailed me back. So what do I do now? So I've tried to find unique ways to still get the job done. So I think that's something that I'm really good at, is if things aren't going well, I try to find a different way to still get that done. So hopefully that answers your question. Couple weaknesses, couple strengths.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing.
Sweet.
Another question is, why did you choose to apply to our program?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, obviously your reputation is really high, and it was something that I know that I could learn a lot from. It would look great on a resume in the future. But the one thing that really stuck out to me is I checked out your website and maybe did a little bit more research into the program, is I really appreciate how much you value diversity at your school. Being a communications student and not a business undergraduate, I believe that I can provide a unique perspective as a MBA student at Stanford, and specifically with a background in journalism. I don't know how many journalists end up changing career paths and going on to an MBA, but yeah, diversity is the one thing that I think comes to mind when you ask that. So I think that I could provide a unique perspective and assist along with that goal of yours.
Great. Tell me about a time when you were unable to meet a deadline or had a conflict with a student or professor, etc., and then try to give a positive spin on what you've learned, even if it was a negative experience.
Yeah, okay. So while at BYU, one of the required courses that they have journalism students do is we produce a live news TV show that goes on BYU TV every day at noon. Excuse me. And for this TV show, it's all run by students. There's student producers and people that run the cameras and people that write the scripts and anchor the show and all those type of things. And I've done a lot of different things, but this one specific semester, the producer, who's like the head honcho person for our show, was calling all the shots. So her and I sometimes didn't really see eye to eye and maybe disagreed on the way things should be done. It was a sports show, and I really love sports, and so I kind of came into it with an attitude of, oh, I'm like the sports expert type of thing, and she maybe didn't have as much of a background in sports, and so I was like, why are we talking about this not very relevant sport when there's other things going on that we should be focusing our time on? But from the experience and kind of butting heads, I realized that we didn't get anywhere from our disagreements. Yeah, I think it's great that I did speak up and spoke my mind, but I think I kept at it a little too long, longer than I should have. And I think we would have benefited from maybe just deciding that you're the boss, and so you're the one that's going to call the shots. And I think that I should have been more humble maybe in that situation and just realized that she's the one who's in charge. Yeah, I can express my opinion, but if she disagrees, I don't need to keep wasting time and arguing over that fact. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind. And again, what I learned from that is that sometimes I just got to recognize my place and recognize that I don't know everything, and I have things that I still need to learn, and be humble about that. So
Thank you. What are your career goals, and how will our program help you achieve that?
Yeah. So I mentioned that one of my interests that got me into communications was sports, obviously. So I still want to stick down that road. Instead of journalism, however, I think the way I want to go is sports management. So shooting for the stars, my dream job is to possibly be like a marketing director for a professional sports team or something like that. I really love the creative, maybe content side of marketing, and so perhaps that's a way to get there. But I really think that I come to this program with a unique skill set, and I have a unique background that I offer in my experience in journalism and in communications. And I think that with a Stanford MBA, teaming my experience up with your school, I think that I can achieve that goal someday and realize that dream. So,
Great. So why should we take you?
I think, as mentioned earlier, I know you value diversity, and I come from a unique background, obviously, not being a finance or a marketing undergraduate, but a communications undergraduate, and maybe having a little bit different perspective on business and the way things should go. And as mentioned in my strengths earlier, I love meeting new people, and so diversity is important to me as well. One thing that comes to my mind is I lived in Hawaii for 2 years, and Hawaii is just a huge melting pot of cultures. I met people from all over the world, from Polynesia to Asia to wherever it might be, and I just absolutely loved it. Like, I loved meeting people from different cultures and learning a few words of their language and different things. So and honestly, being from Utah, it's not the most culturally diverse place, but I recognize that I have a lot to learn from other people, and I know that I can bring my own unique perspective while also respecting the perspectives of others that I'll meet there at your school. So I don't know. I think that's what I'd say. That's why me, is because I know I'll be a valuable asset to that goal of diversity that you emphasize. So
Great. And what's your greatest achievement?
wow, greatest achievement. So this is still in the works and hasn't fully come to fruition yet, but for my capstone course at BYU, will be attending the Summer Olympics in Tokyo, Japan, this July and this August, and I am so excited. Like, obviously the Olympics is like the pinnacle event in all of sports, and maybe not even in sports, but perhaps in the world. It's just one of the most well-known, hyped up, exciting events in the world, and it's always been a dream of mine to go to the Olympics, and it's something that I'm finally going to be able to do this year. And so I'm going to be going with a group of students, and we're going to be reporting on documenting the efforts of athletes participating in the Olympics who have ties to BYU, to our school. And so we're going to go to Japan for a couple weeks and use the skills that we've been learning in all of these classes that I've taken as a journalism and communications major to kind of just follow around some of the athletes there and get to know them. So that's something that I'm really excited about, and kind of just, I mean, you asked about greatest accomplishment, and I think that experience will just sum up everything that I've learned over the last 4 years as an undergraduate student. So that's something that I'm really excited for, and I think when it's done will be one of the best things that I've done. So